Hey guys, Tommy here. Welcome back to another episode. Today's video we're going to be talking about my rod and reel arsenal. Pretty much my inshore, offshore series of rods and reels that I take. I do a lot of bass fishing and stuff, right? And I haven't really honestly spent a lot of time spending money or getting new combos for bass just because I have an old series of rods. This year I've been doing a lot of fishing. I haven't been doing a lot of recording, but I've been doing a lot of fishing. I've been trying to fine tune each individual rod for the specific kind of fishing way and technique. And so I have about maybe 6 or 7 combos that I want to show you guys that I've accumulated over time and what I do with them and just my rod and reel. This is just what I use and this is what works for me. So real quick before I even get into it, I have a small apartment here, so I gotta watch the rods. Before anything, all of my combos are suited and booted with rod holders, and they have reel holders as well. See, I'm hitting the ceiling right there. I get all these reel holders from Seaforth Landing. That's where I do all my fishing at, mainly in San Diego. I'm not from San Diego, but I do a lot of stuff down there. You can get reel holders anywhere, but you want to make, if you can, get a nice reel holder and get a rod holder. This prevents you from slamming your rods in your truck or even causing scratches at all. Pretty much every combo I have has that. So I'm going to take all of them off right now and kind of get through the rods. But that's the first step of my combos, is I always keep them protected. And then I'm going to get into one more thing too, so this could be a separate video, but basically I'm going to tell you what I bring on a fishing trip, right? You have to ask yourself a couple questions, pretty much 2 questions. Number 1, what kind of fishing you're going to be doing, and number 2, how many days are you going, right? If I'm going to do a half-day trip, I typically want to stick with 3 rods. I don't want to bring 4. I do have a new fish bag like lab, or fish lab bag they call them. It's the large, it has 4 rod holders, so yes, you can bring 4 rods. But I try to bring 3 on my half days or 3/4 days, or even the full days I'll bring 4. And if I go on any multi-days, like a 2-day, 3-day, or a 4-day, tonight I'm actually going out on the Aztec in San Diego on a 3-day. I'm going to bring 4 rods. So I'm going to show you guys which rods I bring, why I bring them, and so forth. So let's get into the combos. Alright, so starting off from the smallest combos to the biggest combos, right? Pretty much, just to recap, or just kind of like a real quick thing, I only do a couple kinds of fishing, really. Number 1, I live bait all the time. Whenever I'm going out on these half days, 3/4 days, or full days, or even these multi-days, we're going to be utilizing the live bait a lot. I don't do any of the dropper rigs, the dropper loop. To be honest, I've just not been a fan of that. I don't really know how to really do that too, so maybe I could be jaded and I'm not really educated in that. But I mainly do a live bait rod, so I have my my fluoro or monofilament with a live bait hook. And then I have maybe a lure rod, I have a popper and a jig rod, and then my nighttime jig fishing rod too. So my first rod and reel combo right here, this is going to be just my perfect calico bass setup. Yes, you can get a badass rod, a really nice brand new rod if you want, and a nice brand new reel. I really like the old school rods, as far as the old cork handled rods. This is going to be my number 1 setup right here for live baiting. I can use the small jigs on this if I want. Any spinner baits if I want. Honestly, I use this in the bay too. Sorry, I use this in the bay a lot too, for like crankbaits or even like small swim baits. But this is going to be a perfect beginner setup live bait combo right here. So right here, this is going to be the Shimano Terra Mar rod right here. This is a 10-20, I believe. So it's a 20-40 braid, 10-20 mono, with the Shimano Tranx 300 power grip handle. Just high gear ratio. These reels are amazing. I have 3 of them. I plan on getting some more. It's a perfect reel. Even this reel can pull in some big fish. I've caught in some yellowtail, actually the majority of my yellowtail this year, on this exact combo, because I go on a half day in San Diego and I'm expecting to catch calico and I pull up some yellowtail. So it's an amazing rod and reel. Before we get too much into the rod and reel combo, for any beginners out there, anybody that's wanting to know, right, what you're doing as far as line goes, okay? A lot of people have braid, so I go braid too. I use all white, unless I'm using color braid on my jig reel. I use all white braid, and kind of the rule of thumb is you can't use a heavier monofilament line than the braid you're using, unless, for instance, you get into the 80, 100-pound braid, then you can do 200-pound top shot for your nighttime jig fishing for tuna. This is a perfect small live bait reel. I use this for sardines and anchovies, but mainly my bass setup. And what I do is I have 30-pound Power Pro white braid, and I'll top shot max on this 25. I normally go 15, 20, or 25 on this combo. Yes, it's a 10 to 20 rod, but it's worked with good drag, anywhere from 15, 20 to 25 pound test. So the Tranks is a good reel. It's a power grip. It has a great free spool. I use this reel for all my live baiting. It's got 30 pound top shot braid with a 10 to 20 rod. And what I look for in a live bait rod is a very, very soft tip. You want that bait to be able to swim out there. You want to be able to lob it easy, and then you want to be able to have a nice hook set. And to me, honestly, too, just so you guys know, I'm very heavy on having the lightest rod that I can. I love the lighter combos, the more conventional reels, right? I don't want a giant reel. If I can get away with a smaller reel, then I will. So this is my, first off, my bass setup pretty much, but I also get yellowtail. And the max line capacity I'll use on this is roughly 20 or 25 pound test. Bumping up to the next combo. This is a combo that I do have. I don't use it a lot. I use the reel more, and I've caught some tuna off this exact setup right here, but I haven't in a while. This is pretty much a back, just in the back burner, like in case I need it. It's Alexa 400 Win with 50 pound white Power Pro, again white, and I have an OG Akuma Guide Select. I threw this reel with a 10 to 20, 20 to 40 pound rod with live bait. I've got them in fine. This is 50. So with my lighter stuff, I go 30. Everything else I go 50, and if I go higher, it's because I'm fishing a higher setup. This combo right here is perfect. I can use it for cold snipers, small jigs, right? This is literally a beginner. This is like a beginner jig, tuna, inshore, offshore setup. You're going to see a lot of guys on the boat with this exact reel. Maybe not blue because it's wind, but this exact reel and this exact rod, or the Komodo. This is just a great rod. I believe this is a 15 to 40. So I have a 15 to 40 rod that I use mainly, but this is just a backup. I can use it for fly lining. I can pretty much use this for anything I want, right? Cold snipers, fly lining, poppers, and this Daiwa has a really good drag, so I can use it on high drag if I need to and crank them in. This is just kind of an extra rod and reel, to be honest with you guys. I don't use that one too much. If my buddies come with me and they don't have a rod, they'll take that one. Okay, the next combo is going to be now, I'm just going from higher and up, right? This is going to be now my, this is like my perfect calico bass live bait rod, and I use it a lot for calico and yellowtail. I think a tuna would be okay with it, but I am cautious just because it's a smaller setup. It's probably one of the most expensive setups I have. It's just your traditional Trinidad and CalStar. My bad. I hit the camera. It's a Trinidad and a CalStar, okay? So everybody wants the CalStar 90J, right? This is a great CalStar right here. This is the 278C, which basically is a 12 to 30. So when you have these rods and they have a line rating, 20, 40, 30, 60, 80, 100, that's basically your line rating, okay? When you get into jig fishing, like night fishing, it's going to be PE. You can get into that. You can look up other stuff for that. But basically 12 to 30 is the pound test top shot that I'm going to be running. With this rating equipped with an amazing soft tip, I'm using this all day for live baiting, okay? So this is another live bait setup that I have right here. I use this for calico. It's got the softest tip you can imagine. It's super duper soft. It's almost parabolic, and I really like the feeling. Again, I like smaller stuff. I like lighter feeling, and so I can get away with it. It's got a nice cork grip right here. This is the deckhand grip, and then on here I have a Trinidad 14A. So there's a Trinidad, I believe it's 12, 14, 16, 20, 30, and maybe they go higher. But this is the 14A right here. This is one of the smaller series they have. It's a great reel. It's got an amazing free spool. It's got a nice clicker button so you can hear it. And it's got a pretty good line capacity. Again, this is 50 pound braid. The only reason on my bass setup I have 30 is because I'm going to go pretty light. And if you want to get really deep into it, right, the lighter the line, the lighter the braid, the easier the flow is for the bait to swim. So if you have anchovies, it can swim faster and it can swim better. You don't want them to pull too much braid, okay? With this specific reel, I have 50 pound Power Pro. Again, it's a pretty light rating rod, right? It's a 12 to 30. So the max I'll fish with this is around 30 or 25. But this fish is great 25. So this is my 25 pound setup right here. I use this a lot for live baiting for calico when I'm at Catalina. This is literally another backup combo that I use right here if I want to get fancy with it. And I'll take this on a half day. Really good for yellowtails. So that's another live bait rod. That's my 25 pound setup. So you can see I have a 20 and a 25. Now we're going to get into my bigger setup. You're kind of like, you're gonna look at this and you're gonna go, this is your bigger setup, and everybody kind of trips out, but I've caught more fish on this setup than I have on any other setup that I have. And this is another Tranks reel. It's a Shimano Tranx 400 power grip. It's a 400 coped with 50-pound clear or white Power Pro. And I have the Phoenix Black Diamond 8-foot 15 to 40 pound. It's 15 to 40. Amazing tip. You can see, I mean, I have 4 of the same combos essentially, right? 15 to 40 rod. It's Phoenix, so I like it. It's got an amazing deckhand, almost railrod long grip, right? It's 8.5 feet. I think it's 8.5. What is it? 8.5 feet long. So I got a lot of distance to get that bait out there, and I got a 400 size reel. A lot of power, a lot of line capacity. This is my 25-pound setup as well. Okay. It's pretty much I have the Trinidad in this, and I use them both at the same kind of thing. The only reason I pick this up and I go with this one versus that one, because that one looks prettier, is because I know how to fish the conventional size reels better, the low profile versus the heavier profile. Just me personally, I should get better, but this reel fits me great, and I like to use it the most. So it's a Tranx 400 with a 15 to 40 pound rod, and this is going to be another 25-pound setup. So I have 20, anywhere from 15 to 20, and then 25. I could even go 30. But this is going to be my bigger setup. So this is going to be yet another live bait rod. Again, I told you guys I like to get away with lighter stuff and a lighter rod. This is going to be my 30, 40, and if I want to go 50, I can. I just have to increase the rod size, but I like this rod. This is my 40-pound setup right here. This is going to be the Penn Fathom 25 NLD, which just basically means it's the older version Fathom, and it's a 2-speed, and it's a narrow. So narrow, right? Pretty much when you have a narrow size reel or a J reel, what that means is that the spool size, it holds a lot of line, but it's skinnier. So it's going to be, instead of super wide out here, it's going to be skinnier essentially. Same thing, right? I would fish 50 because I'm not going to go heavier than 50, but I do have 65-pound braid on this. This was originally something else. So I did 65-pound clear Power Pro with my Penn Fathom 2-speed. It's a great reel. It's got an amazing free spool. It's one of the best free spools. Even guys are like, man, this is like a cheaper reel, but it's a great reel. It's a perfect reel to fish. So I have this, and this is going to be paired up with the Akuma Californian 20 to 40 pound rod. The only reason this rod is on here, I have about 6 other rods that I don't really touch or use over there in the corner. I have a Penn Carnage 30 to 60. It's amazing. It's an amazing rod. It literally pairs this reel perfectly for a 40-pound setup. Again, I like the smaller rods. I can get away with the smaller rod. I like it. I know it's a little risky when you're fishing bigger line with a smaller rating rod, literally. But I get away with it by using the drag. I set the drag accordingly. And personally for me, I just like it. So this is a 40-pound setup. It's a 20 to 40-pound rod. 50-pound Power Pro, and I'll fish 30 or 40-pound braid. I'm sorry, mono or fluoro. You can get into that whole mono fluoro thing later, but this is my 40-pound setup. Alright guys, and I just want to reiterate the fact to you guys that you don't need to have 25 or 30 rod setups, right? This rod and reel, this 20 to 40-pound rod with this Penn Fathom, if I put 50-pound braid instead of 65, I can literally get away with calico bass, yellowtail, and tuna. This combo can literally do it all. It's just, when you like a hobby and you get involved in it, you start acquiring like an addiction. Literally, it's addicting to start buying combos and rods. It's just like spearfishing or lobster diving or something like that, So then you start like fine-tuning like how many rods you want to bring, the different sizes, right? A 20, a 25, a 30, a 40. You can literally get away with this combo with a cheaper reel and a cheaper rod, a 20 to 40-pound rod with a nice size reel. Throw 50 on and you can fish 15, you can fish 20, 30, or even 40 if you need to, right? It's just when you start getting involved in in your rods and stuff, you want to have an extra stuff, you want to get multi, a lot of different kinds of rods and different, setups for different applications. So I just want you guys to know that would do it all, that rod, or even that Tranx 400 and the Phoenix Black Diamond. But so I covered my 20, my 15 to 20, 25-pound setups. That's a 30 to 40. Now you can kind of go into a 50 if you want, right, or a 60 or 80-pound setup, right, if you want. Personally, for me, I've only been fishing, I've been fishing for like 20 years, but for tuna, especially in offshore, I've only been doing it for like 3 years. So I don't really have an 80-pound or a 60-pound setup, right? I would kind of just see what I have. I have a bigger setup, but as far as fly lining, I've never fly lined a 60 or 80-pound test. So if anything, I would just get away with 40 and then I move on. Now I do have, technically it is a 60-pound setup, but this is going to be my popper and jig setup, okay? Yes, I wish it was a CalStar 90J. I wish it was a badass, jig rod, but I don't have that yet, and I'm still working on it, on a really nice jig setup. A lot of this stuff has been, recommended to me, and I've just kind of done my own research on the rods that I want. This rod was passed down from my Uncle Mikey. It's a Coastal Customs Classic. It's a triple C rod. These rods are really nice. They look pretty. They're OG. They're very classic looking rods. I believe this is a 30 to 60. Let's double check here. This is a 30-60, 1 to 6 ounce. Okay, so it's got a long, nice tip. It's a really soft tip, and it's really good. It's got a nice backbone. It's soft. This can easily get away with your bigger, 60 to 80 pound grade foaming fish. And this is literally just my foaming rod, essentially. I throw this when there's jigs that need to be thrown or poppers. I have a Tranx 500 on here. This has a 65-pound braid, and I have a top shot of anywhere from 40 to 60. This is a 60-pound top shot of mono, and I have my popper set up on here. Okay, 30 to 60-pound rod, 500 Tranx size reel. This reel is huge. You can get away with a lot of things. You can live bait for tuna, yellowtail. This is, it's not necessarily equivalent, but it's almost equivalent to the Trinidad 20 or 30, right? This could be your jig reel. And again, I like the small profile, so I'm going to go with this. 65 white with 60-pound top shot, and I have my popper on there. So if I have any foamers, I'm going to go with this right here. I can even throw like a tatty or 45 or a jig or anything like that. And then lastly, I have my big setup. The big setup I'm going to be using is going to be for nighttime jig fishing for tuna, okay? Nighttime jig fishing is something that I haven't really done yet. I'm just getting involved in it. I went on a trip. I did a day and a half on the Tribute out in San Diego, my buddy Garrett. We used my Penn Carnage 30 to 60 rod with that Penn Fathom reel. Super unprepared. We got a tuna though. We were using 65-pound braid with the 200-pound top shot pre-rigged leader. I have my setup here. This is what I'm going to do today when I go out. So again, you could talk about these things for like 20 minutes. I'm going to try to make this video quick because I just talked forever. This is going to be the Avid HXJ reel, and I have 80-pound colored braid on here. Okay, it fit roughly 330 yards, so around 1,000 feet of 80-pound braid. Every 100 feet, you're going to have a color change. So you have 100 feet of blue, which goes into 100 feet of yellow, then back to blue, then yellow, then green, something like that, right? If you want to get into these Avid reels, they're beautiful. They're made in America, right, in the USA. They're very specific, though, and I'm just going to touch on them real quick. Avid has a massive lineup, right? So basically, you can almost think of it as small, medium, large, heavy, and extreme. SX, MX, LX, HX, and EX. It's literally it. So the SX is the smallest. Then you have your MX, LX, HX, right? This is the HXJ. So any reel with a J, or pretty much an L, the L is large, so the thicker spool, the J is the thinner spool. So this is almost like the Fathom, but it's really thin. And it's easy when I'm cranking in this jig super deep, 300-400 feet down, I'm just cranking it. I don't want to have to worry about feeding that line in perfectly, right? It's a narrower spool. It's going to hopefully get in line better as it goes. So that's this reel right here. It's an amazing reel. We're going to test it out today on this trip. And then paired up with it, I have an Akuma PCH jig rail rod. This is a 80 to 130 rod. To be honest, guys, it's so stiff. It's like a broomstick, right? I'm gonna test it out. That sun's coming up bright. I'm gonna test it out. I'm gonna see how it goes. But when you're hooking up to a 100-pound fish down deep, 300 feet deep, you're gonna need a really nice rail rod to basically have the backbone, the leverage to put on the rail, and just have that rod bend down and start cranking on it. And on here I have multi kinds of jigs, right? This is just a Daiwa SK jig, 300 gram in polka dot silver. There's so many. We can get into jigs if you want later on. But again, 80-pound braid with a top shot of a pre-rigged 200-pound mono, clear or black, doesn't matter because it's night fishing. Real quick, when people talk about jig fishing, right? When you have a jig fishing setup like this, right? You're dropping it down, you're cranking that jig up as fast as you can, you're burning it up, and hopefully they bite. A lot of guys overkill. They go 130-pound test braid, 100-pound braid. I'm not a crazy jig fisherman, right? So I can't even sit here and lie to you and tell you that I know exactly what works best. But just like how I normally fish with my live bait setups, I've done very well. I go with the lighter setup if I can, the lightest setup. Yes, if you want to go heavier, it's more safe, but if you want to go lighter, you're most likely going to get bit and it's going to be more finesse. So with 80-pound braid versus 130-pound braid, right? Let's say you had a 1 ounce egg sinker and you had 10-pound test and you dropped it straight down, you're going to have a straight vertical line because it's going to stretch, it's going to be straight down. If you had a 100-pound test of that 1 ounce, you're going to have a couple of bends, it might scope out, right, which is push out. If you have technically a lighter braid, your jig's going to go straight down. And that's one of the number one techniques when you're jig fishing for night fishing for tuna, is you drop it straight down and you crank it back up. You don't want what they call scoping, is when your jig gets shot out, almost like you're live baiting. You drop it down, 20 seconds later, it's 45 degrees out to the right, and it's off, far out. You want it straight down. So with a lighter braid, with 80-pound or 65 is really light, but 80-pound minimum, you can get that jig straight down, and it's almost a lighter presentation. So you're right down in the zone, and you're cranking up and out of that zone, so you're not working out far. That's just some small techniques that I've heard. So that's the last rod and reel that I have. All right. So lastly, what rod and reels do you take on a 4-day or on a 3-day trip? I'm going out on a 3-day trip, so I'm going to want for sure the nighttime jig fishing. Okay. This is pretty much the only exception once I'm doing a half day. If I do a half day, this is not coming, or a full day, this is not coming. Anything bigger like an overnight, 2-day or 3-day, you have to bring the nighttime jig setup because this is a hot bite, especially at night. This is how you fish at night. So this is going to be number one rod, okay? The next rod all day is going to be my popper setup, right? Jig setup, popper setup. You're going to have your 40 or 60-pound setup. I can even fly line 40 to 60 if I really need to. If we're getting 100-pound foamers, I can go with this puppy, okay? So I'm bringing that one next. After that, I'm going to bring my 40-pound setup, which I can get away with 30 if I want to. So I'll bring my 30 to 40-pound setup. And lastly, my old reliable, this thing has caught more fish than any rod I have here, is this setup right here. This was all brand new at one point. It's just completely beat. This is the Tranx 400 with the 15 to 40 pound. This is my 25-pound setup. On a half-day trip, this rod goes everywhere. This rod comes with me everywhere. On a half day, I would bring my CalStar in Trinidad, the Tranx 300, and the Terramar, and then a third rod. I don't ever bring more than 4 rods. I bring 3. I'd probably bring this rod right here. This is now a bigger rod. So those 3 is what I bring on my half days or my full days, and then everything else would be on a multi-day company day or whatever. Not multi-company. I keep saying that because that's work. Multi-day. So that's pretty much the setups. That's what I got. We're gonna go fishing today on the Aztec on a 3-day trip with my buddies from work. Some yellowtail, calico, tuna stuff. Anyways, guys, I'll catch you guys on the flip. See you guys.